Let's shift gears to a candid conversation about real transformation. I'm pleased to introduce Kishore Pejavara, Director of Supply Chain Center of Excellence at Delta Airlines, and our Chief Revenue Officer, Denise Miller, for an engaging discussion on simplifying complexity through intelligent intake management.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this fireside chat on simplifying procurement complexity. We have the privilege of hearing firsthand how Delta navigated the complexities of their procurement environment with their intake management transformation. So let's dive right in. If you think about procurement today, it's more complex and critical than ever. Organizations are trying to identify smarter ways to bridge the gap between procurement teams and business users to improve speed and efficiency across the organization. And procurement leaders are focused on enabling innovation and driving business growth and creating value across the organization while they're juggling stakeholder expectations, compliance demands, and cost pressures. What if you could simplify that complexity? Well, that's exactly what Delta did. And today we'll hear how Delta is driving innovation through their control tower approach to intake management and procurement orchestration. We'll get insights on their learnings, their journey, the challenges, and we'll also hear from them on their view of AI and agentic procurement in the future of Delta. So now, with great pleasure, I introduce Kishore Pejavara, Director of Supply Chain COE at Delta. And Kishore is a visionary leader who's been instrumental in the procurement modernization at Delta. And he's leading the intake management transformation to streamline business processes and really redefine how procurement is creating value and servicing the business. Welcome, Kishore. Thank you so much for joining me. And thank you for hosting us here at Delta headquarters.
Absolutely. Thank you, Denise. Thank you for coming down to the Atlanta headquarters. Hopefully you're getting to feel the energy of the Delta culture, Delta spirit, Delta people. So welcome.
There was so much energy and excitement walking through headquarters this morning. There was a new flight crew that had just been released. I mean, the energy was palpable. And it's not surprising because this is an instrumental milestone for Delta this year. You're celebrating 100 years of excellence. You were recently ranked number 11 on Fortune's list of world's most admired companies. Wall Street Journal just named you top U.S. airline for the 4th year in a row.
Yeah.
You know, as I think about those accomplishments, it takes strong leadership, a bold culture. It takes, an endless commitment to innovation and customer experience. But I'm curious, what's your view on some of the critical factors that have led to this excellence in industry leadership?
Yeah, so thank you, Denise, again. So the critical factors, I would put it as having a vision, right? Having the buy-in, top down and with all the stakeholders. And 3, being flexible about implementing the vision, right? So we were very stubborn on the vision. We wanted what we call the one way to procure, right? Like consistent processes, consistent systems from source to pay. But what I was very aware of is things will change, right? The change management is a big piece of it, and we'll talk about it a little bit later. But understanding that let the teams evolve and deliver the product, but having that strong vision, the buy-in from the leadership, and then execution takes care of itself.
That's great. As we go ahead and dive into the procurement discussion, we talked about the complexities of procurement with rising expectations from the users, siloed data and processes. Yeah. But as you think about what the procurement landscape looked like here at Delta before the modernization, can you describe it for us and talk about what drove the need for change?
Great question, Denise. If you're okay, I'm going to talk about our transformation and then talk about complexity because I feel like that flows better. So we started our procurement transformation journey in 2019, right? And if you think about the procurement work to value matrix, there is tactical work, setting up POs, making sure the invoices are paid, the goods receipt part of it, which is necessary, but very tactical. There is a significant portion of the operational work, right? Making sure we have the right contracts, right partnership with the suppliers, working with legal is a big piece of the entire source to contract. Then what I call the trusted partner segment, right? Where truly you're focused on enterprise value creation. When we started, I want to say we were more in the tactical to operational. We were leaning heavily, sort of a reactive organization, what we, so to speak, a contracting shop, right? And today we are firmly in the trusted partner segment, right? So, and I say this stat not just we have results to show for it, right? So the what we've seen a 600% increase in ROI from since we started.
That's
so
amazing.
By the year, yeah. So it's a great win, and it takes it, to your point, it takes everything, right? It's digital transformation, it's people, process, technology, data. Everything has to sort of come together, so that it's a fantastic story, and thanks to your partnership on that.
Thank you for your partnership. It is a great story. So, as you were getting started, what were some of the business challenges that really drove the need for this transformation?
So, if you think about Delta, right, there's two things I want you to take away. It's a global operation, right? So we serve 290 stations. So we have to procure goods and services in all of those stations, right? We have about 5,000 flights a day that depart. So massive global operation. The part two of it is the complexity and the breadth of categories that we support. What I call we literally buy peanut to plane and engines and components that is required to support the plane. We procure sponsorship, right? So we are the official partner of Team USA at the Olympics, and then we procure corporate real estate and fuel. So the breadth from we actually even buy low skill, medium skill labor to do the cabin cleaning, baggage handling, but then we buy highly sophisticated AI, ML tools and services, right? So the scope and the breadth of what the categories that we manage is complex. So the complexity of the operations and the complexity of the categories we manage, how do you bring it all together? That was the sort of a summarized problem statement.
Yes.
So if you think about part one of it, is like, how do I make sure my global operations has one way to reach the procurement team in Atlanta, right? So, and that's what we leverage iRequest for, right? So anybody, whether it's in Kansas City, Madrid, Spain, Quito, Ecuador, they know that when they have to procure anything, services, goods, this is the channel they reach out to the procurement team. The second part, which is the magic sauce, right? The control tower that you mentioned is the iManage, right? That truly helps us orchestrate the entire procurement lifecycle, right? This is where we engage all our stakeholders, whether it's legal, finance, infosec, a sustainability team. So there's full visibility of engaging the right teams at the right time. And while we are doing that, we capture a lot of insightful information, right? So it's the metadata layer that we are creating while we go through the journey. The second part is the visibility to the stakeholders, right? It's not just us asking and engaging. It's now everybody at Delta has visibility to what's happening in the procurement space, right? So it helps finance to make their decisions. It helps legal to prioritize their work, right? So there is that orchestration of work and value that's being done. So
Excellent.
all of that happens through iManage.
I want to double click on that. So your control tower, I think, was one of the most unique and innovative initiatives that were part of this intake management transformation. Can you describe a little bit more about what it is and what really drove the need? I know you really championed that effort and were the visionary behind Control Tower. So
if you think about it, talking a little bit about our transformation, we were a reactive contracting shop, right? Like businesses would come to us, they would have identified the supplier and their business need, and supply chain used to contract. And I used to be in the commercial and sales side, so I only use supply chain to do the contracting piece of it. I would make all the decisions. So how do you move from there to be a trusted partner where you get a seat at the table of making those decisions? So when Delta is making its 3-year, 5-year plan, how is procurement involved in it, right? So to do that, the control tower approach is necessary and critical, because that engages all procurement and procurement adjacent stakeholders, right? You bring them all under this one platform, and everybody, it's to meet their needs, specific needs. So that vision, and I have to say, before we even partner with we use Zycus to scale it to the enterprise. But one thing I've learned from my previous life is the reasons initiatives fail is businesses not understanding their processes, right? So we spent a lot of time, like we use sort of the COVID downtime to sort of reset and think about the future, right? And we built an MVP in-house to make sure we understood how the stakeholders want to engage with procurement. And once we had the processes down, then we partnered with somebody who was willing to partner with us and customize and build that capabilities within their platform. I want to say we've given to Zycus a lot of those insights, and we appreciate you partnering to build that iManage suite.
You've been a great partner, and we're truly grateful for your collaboration as part of the partnership. And, as you talk about the collaboration even between the business users and the procurement team, it's helping to create new value for the organization. And it's like you're running your business with headlights instead of taillights now.
That's actually a great way to look at it, right? A lot what happens today, right? Think about Alex as a sourcing manager, right? She has to wear multiple hats. Because you're a trusted business partner, you are an internal consultant, essentially act as an internal consultant, right? So it's not just about pricing the right contract, it's about understanding the demand. Is there demand optimization? We get involved in process improvements, right? So it's the full suite of sourcing levers. Then sometimes you have to be a sustainability champion, you have to be a risk manager, you have to be a financial analyst to make sure how the market indices are performing. And then you have to be a crisis manager, right? Today, in this week, the hot topic is about tariffs, right? So I'm sure a significant portion of the procurement teams are looking at what that means to our supply chain. So the complexity has arisen because procurement is so integrated into the enterprise.
Right. Well, let's talk about the AI tools, right? Like Zycus, Merlin Intake. And I've heard you say that technology isn't for the sake of technology. It's really about making your team smarter. So how do you envision leveraging this technology to make your team smarter and, in essence, empower them to make better business decisions?
Great question. So I'll have to go back to sort of our Zycus journey, right? I mentioned there was a big focus for us because we were going through this digital organizational transformation, right? So involving stakeholders through the journey. So change management was a big piece of it. And I mentioned about that ROI growth, right? So the result speaks for itself. But we've done it by not taking on more work. We've actually deleveraged and we've taken off tactical operational work from the sourcing teams. And we've done through a combination of teams, people. The center of excellence is a big piece of it, but then the AI automation piece of it is huge, right? That takes away all the tactical and operational work.
And how did change management play a role into that adoption of the technology as you worked with your teams to help them understand how technology was there to help make them smarter?
Yeah, correct. And so here's where I think when we went through the Zycus selection early on in the process, right? One of the things we really wanted to partner with somebody who understood that change management was going to be integral to our implementation. By that, I also mean there has to be patience, because the question always comes up, how long is this going to take to implement? And our answer was as long as it needs to take to make sure our stakeholders are on board, right? So understanding that from the partnership was important for us. So, and we brought the stakeholders along the supplier selection, product selection early on in the process. So 2022 is when we started this digital transformation, and we had everybody at the table reviewing all the products that's out there. So the vendor selection, the product selection came sort of a democratic process of the stakeholders. And then the implementation, we focused on each individual teams, right? We worked with legal to understand their business need. We worked with sourcing managers to understand their business need. So bringing them along is what I find like the true value of change management. And today there is buy-in across because they see it there, the quality of work they're doing is what they want to do. They see it in the results. So it's sort of, you create this flywheel of want to do more.
Looking ahead as we think about the rise of agentic AI and tools like Zycus, Merlin Intake, how do you think about leveraging those in the Delta environment to really enhance the value that procurement brings to the users and to create more of an innovation center for the procurement team?
Great. So the way we position it, and we all know this, right, Denise, the agentic AI is, think about every single procurement manager now has an army of analysts supporting them. Right? That's the vision, right? And I think there is understanding of that, what value it can generate. Today, as I mentioned previously, right, the sourcing manager has to wear multiple hats. And think about these agents working behind the scene to achieve your objective. And so the morning you show up to work, they have already understood the tariff impacts and present you the potential impacts from that. So you can have conversations with your stakeholders, finance, to say, how do I mitigate this? What are the options, right? So you're having more meaningful, proactive conversation versus spending a day and a half just gathering data, understanding what it means. So the breadth and scope of what agents can do, Denise, is fascinating, right? And something about stakeholders, right? And it's not just one thing I have to say, and which I think you and I spoke offline. It's not just making procurement's life better; it's making procurement adjacent functions better,
Mm-hmm.
right? So think about, there's a procurement agent speaking to a legal agent, and partnering with an infosec agent, and partnering with a contracting agent, right? So they're all sort of in orchestrating the work, planning, reasoning behind that to come up with the outcome. So it won't solve 100% of the work the procurement managers are going to do, but it's the tactical work, right? So prepares them better for the day. The decision making is always going to be the way we are people focused, right? We'll always leave the decision making to the people.
Yeah, it does a lot of the prep and readiness and the tactical activities. I have a vision of more agents on your organization chart moving forward.
Yeah, I think we are not far from that, right? So and there's lots of content on it. So it's going to be a sort of a hybrid, right? And the evolution we've done it by not just adding people, right? We've done more with the same people. So that's the evolution. And now we are being asked to do more. And that's exactly how we're going to do it. It's through AI agents and
Make your
automation.
team smarter.
100%. Okay, think about this, Denise. We want to do fun stuff, right? And all our works, there is the fun stuff of it, but then there's also the tactical work, like spending time. But we want to make sure that our highly valuable, motivated people are doing high value work.
Right.
Think about supplier management, stakeholder engagement, category management. That's the value add function of sourcing versus the tactical pieces.
Absolutely. So, as a visionary, right, and you're a member of the Zycus AI Council, and you've implemented some of these innovative technologies internally, what would be your advice for someone that wants to get started? How do they embrace it? Where do they start?
I would say simple message: just do it. All right. In our case, there is a business need, user need to do it, and the approach we are taking, Dennis, is use case based, because the landscape is changing so fast, so rapidly. It can almost get overwhelming, right? What do I do? What's the tech stack I need to go with? So what I'm asking my team and the business users to focus on is the problem statement, right? So identify the problem statement, the use case, and then partner. And partnership is going to become super important, right? Finding the right partner, such as Zycus, to say, here's the use case, let's go together to solve for it, right? And that's what the agents are going to play a big piece of it. But having the vision and partnership is going to be important.
Excellent. Is there anything more that you'd like to add about the partnership with Zycus and what really drove you to select Zycus?
It's a whole. So, first of all, thank you for the partnership, right? I think very early we understood Zycus was, and Atish had a big role to play in it. We understood the leadership focus on customer, right? And that's what we wanted. We wanted somebody who would adapt to our needs. What we really didn't want here is the out-of-the-box solution, use it or not, right? And that's where we really appreciate the partnership. And it's a journey. And I think both sides understand that it's a journey. We are evolving, we're learning. I also see this added focus from Zycus, and there's a whole Zycus team here today, so I appreciate that. that we are seeing their investment in the customer, understanding the customer needs. So there's going to be a layer of consultative approach that Zycus will also have to take, so we can partner better with you.
As we wrap today, I would like to extend my sincere thanks and appreciation to Kishore for this enlightening, thought-provoking conversation. Thank you for sharing your insights about your intake management transformation. And I would like to extend our sincere thanks to Delta for the partnership. It's been a wonderful partnership with collaboration and innovation, and we look forward to continuing with you on this journey. In the essence of time, we will not be able to take audience questions today, but I would like to thank the audience for your engagement, and thank you again for joining us.